You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Supernatural Chat Show with your host, Sean Cadman, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of the Supernatural Chat Show with me, your host, Sean Cadman. Sorry about a bit of a croaky voice this week. I was just recovering from a bit of a sore throat, but it's still me. Well, tonight, I'm welcoming back a wonderful guy, very busy guy. It's Mr. Michael Postlethwaite from Ultimate Haunted UK. How are you, Mike?
Hello, sir. I'm following your suit there. I've just got over this lurgy, as you would say, and the chest infections that's knocking around. So I've got a bit of a sore throat, but doing very well and glad to be back on the show, Sean. Glad to be back, mate.
Good to have you back, mate. So we could both croak along tonight.
Yes, we can. Winding pillows sort of thing.
That's it. I say tonight, tech and apps. A quick broad overview before we get into sort of the details of them. What's your general thoughts on tech in general?
Tech in the paranormal world to me is a very, very biggie. A few people who could be in the chat room at this moment in time, they might have seen a profile status that I put up a few weeks ago, basically saying that I don't like people attacking people who are trying to develop tech at this moment in time, due to describing myself sometimes as a spiritual brick. Now, over the course of doing the different investigations and things like that, I have attuned myself slightly, but obviously I am no way, shape or form a medium. So for me, technology is a biggie. Yeah. It really is, Sean. I do rely on it a lot of the time after I have been in the place with a medium and they have confirmed things for me and sort of put me on track sort of thing. So then I'll go do some other work there where I'll be by myself or with one other person. It's how I insist on things. I want things, so there's not too many people running around and all sorts breaking loose and things can get mistaken. So for me, it basically, to put it in a nutshell, it is a biggie for me. I do rely on them and I believe that they should be embraced and hopefully carry on being developed.
Definitely. I mean, I'm the same. I'm a bit of a spiritual. I can sense when an atmosphere change. But as far as picking up on individual spirits, it's like blank wall to me.
Exactly the same as me then, Sean. Exactly the same. So, I have, as yourself, I have attuned over the course of time. So I do know, when things are changing or there's something about a certain area or a certain place, I can tend to go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I can feel that. There's certain subtle signs which you do tune yourself to. But as you know, everyone has got the gift. So if you choose to train that gift in any way, shape or form, you get a little bit better with it. So I think that's not that I am training to be a medium and I never will. But I do try and think, right, okay, yeah, this place, this situation, this is how I was feeling, and so on and so on. And that helps me develop.
Yeah. Pretty much the same. So, I've got no desire to develop any mediumistic skills or anything like that. I just like to be able to tune in to a building and to different feelings in each room.
I agree with you on that one. Yes, I've been offered to go to circles and this, that, and the other. People have seen the potential with me before, but it is not the direction that I am going to be going in, obviously. As I've said before, I work with great mediums already. So I like to spend my time with the techie side and to try and, how can you put this? When a medium says to me, I'm picking up on an energy in a certain place, that's when I'll use the devices to go over and try and prove what has just been said, basically. It's happened a couple of times. I've caught this on camera a couple of times. A really good one, which I caught it on camera with recently, was when I was over at RAF Inbrook. I was working with True Paranormal Events, their team, and the medium who was with us on that evening, he was picking up on the energy of a gentleman next to him. And as I was filming, I thought, right, like you do, let's do a bit of investigation as I'm filming. So I pull out the meter, I walk over, and in exactly that same spot as the medium had just described, he was picking up on the energy of the gentleman. I started getting readings on the meter. Now, that wasn't because I just wiggled my hand, like, your K2s and your meters. If you wiggle your hand too quickly, you get a little bit of a false positive, which comes through. That wasn't the case here. I turned around, my hand was stable, you can see it on the film, and the meter was picking up, as I've just repeated to myself, in exactly the same place as what the medium has told me. So for me, I love using them that way.
Yeah, I think, like I said, on an investigation, it's something that needs to work together now, tech and the spiritual side, because using the tech, like you just mentioned there with the meter, we can almost validate what the mediums are picking up.
Exactly. And a lot of people, when seen, when they heard what he'd said, and then the scene that I'd gone over with the meter, it really, really put it into light for them, because they couldn't see what the medium was explaining, but they could see the numbers on the meter. Yeah. So I totally agree with you, Sean, where that's concerned, buddy.
Talking from a personal point of view, a few years ago, I was I was buying tech left, right, and centre, everything that come out. Yeah, I love that. And then I got rid of it all. Everything went. I thought I'm going back to basics, just stick with my voice recorder, camcorder, and still camera. But I think now, as tech's advancing again, it's getting better than ever. I think it's something that's worth looking into again now.
It certainly is, Sean. It certainly is. I break it up into two parts. I have like software and hardware, which I think you'll agree on. Software meaning, apps, downloadable spiritual programs and things like that. Then your hardware, like USB7, your Connect systems, K2s and things like that. So, but as you're saying, things now, they are changing, because not everybody just gets something and just accepts what they're seeing in front of them is what... how can I put this? That the app that they've just downloaded, if it starts, giving you messages and things, people will look into the credibility of the app now.
Yeah.
Not just, this is pre-bank recording, working like Siri, that when I say a certain word, it's a trigger word, which triggers, obviously, the app to respond with a certain word. Or microphones being left enabled on your tablets. So when you're talking through the device and you've got echo on, it echoes around in the background, and people are actually hearing what you said maybe a couple of seconds ago, or even a couple of minutes ago, depending on the amount of echo that's in there.
Definitely.
So like you've just said, I do agree. Things are getting better, and it's what needs to be done, Sean. It really is what needs to be done, mate.
It does. I can remember when it first came out, EchoVox. Everybody went crazy on EchoVox, and so I downloaded it. Thought, this is brilliant. But then, like I said, when you actually sit and pay attention, you think, hang on a minute, that's just repeating virtually what I've said, because the echo's just bringing it back.
Exactly. Now, I've used EchoVox quite a few times. I got it recommended off a good mate of mine, and I've had some good outcomes with it. But like I say, I've also seen a couple of flaws with the system and the way it works. Yeah. So it's one of them, and this is why we do need this tech being advanced all the time, so that we don't accept things like that, if you get me.
Yeah. I can remember when the ghost radar hit the scene and everybody was like, this is great with your little sweep thing, and a red dot would appear, and you think, there's something in front of me. I've got it, and you realize, hang on a minute, what a load of rubbish.
Brilliant, that wasn't it? For obvious people, let's say youngsters, and to have a laugh, then them type of apps are brilliant, aren't they? So,
I'm not sure if a quick sort of shameless plug, but Brian Holloway, I've recently downloaded a few of his apps, and to say I'm impressed is a bit of an understatement.
I'm glad you've just said that, because I've actually got this in my notes to mention about some of these apps. I've not been lucky enough yet to actually try them out. I have downloaded it, but I've downloaded the Project Paranormal app, to have a with that one. I know he's got Witch and Witch 2, is it? And a few other apps out there. I haven't actually used them yet, Sean. Have you used them?
I've used a couple of them. I've tried Speculo a lot because there's no noise until it picks your voice up. If you ask a question, it then picks your voice up, and then you can run it up to, I think it's 25 or 30 seconds, and it runs all the reverse, but everything's in reverse. Yeah. So if anything comes forward, you're sort of pretty sure you've hit on something. Yeah, but it's good because it's not a continuous noise going on.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of Brian's work. You might see me around his chat rooms and that. And to be fair, that rant the other week was really about Brian. It's not fair when people like him are putting his heart and soul into trying to make something better for the paranormal community that other people are ripping in. If there was a reason for it, and he was a known fake, well, so be it. But I don't think he's given anybody any reason to think this. And he's working very, very hard on these apps. Now, I know yourself, there's even Phil Andrew Newton, who's testing the apps. There's a lot of people testing these, and they're coming back with great, great results from it. So definitely. I really can't wait to get my hands on it. So, but as you're saying there, it squelches everything out, doesn't it? So, Yeah,
that's it. The first one I tried was the Nevermore box, one of Brian's apps. We tried that the other week at the Galleries of Justice, and like I said, everything's in reverse. It just sounds like a load of gobbledygook. We asked if they can tell us where we are, and as clear as anybody talking, it said Nottingham. Now, to me, there's not a reverse word that even sounds like Nottingham.
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing. When you're working with reverse banks, and all the portal works this way as well. I have a few arguments with people over time about these apps. But when these things are reversed, and also they're putting parts of things together that wasn't programmed to do this. So somewhere along the line there is some manipulation hopefully from spirit, which is doing this for us. So they should be embraced. They really should be embraced, Sean. They should.
That's it. It's definitely. It's like I was mentioned earlier. I think it can be a validation for other things that mediums, etc., are picking up, and with the development that's going into them now, it can only get better.
Exactly. Like we talked about Ghost Adventures on my last interview. Bill, who works with the Ghost Adventure team, some of the devices and work which he does, I'm fascinated from it. I like watching them programs to see some of the tech, but I also don't like some of the tech as well. But that's just down to my own preferences. But it's amazing the way things are going, and we need more people like Brian, and Bill and people like that to do these things. As you know, I've worked with John Blackburn plenty of times, and the same's happened with John. John's amazing picking up on energies in places. John can pinpoint on them, as you know, Sean. I've gone over with K2s, with Mel meters, even periscopes, which are triboelectric field meters. They're not usually MF or electromagnetic radiation meters, which there is a difference between. And I've gone over, he's pinpointed, I've gone over and I've used the devices. Everyone in the room's been blown away because they can physically see that what he's saying, there's a correlation with the hardware.
Yeah, so definitely. Kaz has just put interesting point actually in the chat room. If we keep advancing technology and apps, though, do you think that would make people less insensitive and lazy, just relying more and more on tech?
For some people, I suppose it would do, but for other people like myself that aren't developed and don't want to develop, they've got another job in the field. These things are vital. They are vital. That's my opinion too. Yeah,
I think they could make people lazy in the respect of some people who just totally rely on the apps. Whereas, obviously, like yourself do and I do, and a lot of other people, when you get a response through that app, you don't just take that for granted. You work on that response.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. As we just mentioned before about about the hardware pieces, there's so many people who go in places with just a K2 meter, for example. They're getting a lot of strong readings, this, that, and the other, and unfortunately, a lot of people just say, "Oh yeah, it's spirit." They won't leave the premises and look and see if there's any big telephone masts behind the house, if there's any This is a big one, this one, Sean. Your new 5G test masts that are out, they're affecting a lot of devices, a hell of a lot of devices. So you can be in somewhere and, you'll get these you'll get strange spikes that you're not used to, because these things, the prototype masts, excuse me, there's the chest infection. They're not used to these readings because these are prototype masts. So unless, it's in everyday knowledge what to look for.
Yeah.
That you will think to yourself, right, yeah, it's definitely spirit. But sometimes, yeah, you do have to do the legwork using the tech, where with a medium, now they can see and they know straight away. And that's why I'm big on saying, and people who've worked with me will also say that I've said this, that you do need to use the medium as well. And then once you're using technology alongside with the medium, don't be silly. Don't just take what you're seeing as, right, I'm in a supposed haunted location and all my lights are lighting up. So, let's just say, oh, yes, it's definitely spirit, without doing a little bit of debunking and legwork.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not even get into baseline tests. When I got locked away in certain places for weeks on end, I have got page on page on page on page, Sean, of baseline tests where we've been around not just once in the morning, but 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon, and 3 times at night to take temperatures and look for some electrical effect in our devices.
Yeah.
To do the baseline and the legwork to debunk these things. And then when you can't debunk it and your medium's saying to you, listen, yep, then I'm sort of, how can I put it? I'm sure then that what I was picking up on is real.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, it's like what a lot of people don't realise is, like your phones, people put your phone in airplane mode, etc.
Yes.
But we found through testing different service providers that even when the phone's in airplane mode, Vodafone, the signal is amazingly strong.
Yes, you will get a spike, Sean. We actually covered this in the De Grey Street locking video, where my partner Oscar, the partner who works with me in Ultimate Haunted, he actually shown people about putting your phone on flight mode, and I think he upset a lot of people because he said, listen, put your phone in flight mode, nothing, taking it out as soon as you put it in, and he's showing, we're showing people what the effects that it's having on the actual devices that we was using at that time. Yeah. So my advice to people is, if you've got a phone with you, you're on an investigation, you've got plenty of time to talk to your mates after that investigation, turn it off.
Yeah.
Off. Absolutely off. At home if possible.
Definitely. What do you think? People that say stuff like an EMF meter, K2 meter and everything, they're a load of rubbish because they weren't designed for paranormal use. They were designed for electrical engineers, etc.
No, we know ourselves that spirit come with certain signatures and certain energies. So for me, an EMF meter, a MEL meter and things like that, they will pick up on spirit, especially when I know that a medium's told me there's an energy in an area, and I've put a number of these devices down and watched them sweep backwards and forwards. Yeah. This isn't all the meters lighting up at the same time. This is a sweep. One goes off, another one comes on. So we have 3 or 4 meters in front of us, and we were getting sweeps from left to right. So the left meter would come on, and as that was going low, back down to the amber and the green, the next meter was stepping up. Yeah. Did you get what I mean? That's energy. It's following the energy, that's Sean. So for me, I agree with what they're saying, that they were designed for electric, and yeah, they are. Now, I'm going to tell you something now. I actually take my MEL meters, my EMF meters a lot of the time just to find electrical energies in a home or in a location that I'm working at. The MEL meter was designed for picking up on electrics, obviously, in walls and other things like that. So why not use it for what it's designed for, as well as trying to pick up on energies elsewhere? So if we're getting strange readings, as you would put it, or very, very controlled, man-made readings, I will then use the EMF meter or the MEL meter to go around the room and try and use that to find electrical wires. If there's a router in the room, if there's a router expander in the room, which causes a lot of bother. If you're in a 3-story house and they've put a Wi-Fi extender in the middle and that rebeams the signal, this can all cause freaky false positive effects with the machines that you're using at the time. So I can agree with them saying that they weren't designed for spirit. Yeah, there wasn't designed for that, and that's probably, I'm sorry if I upset anyone here, that's probably the only true piece of information in that statement, because I know that when I've been out and I've used them, that I have had results with them, but I have also had false flags, which I've debunked afterwards, and people will see that in my programs, or they'll know through talking to me or working with me.
Yeah, the way spirit's made up of energy. A lot of the time, it would pretty much show it's almost an electrical energy. So, of course, something that's designed for working with electrics is going to pick spirit up in my eyes.
Well, it is. That's what it's designed to pick up. But as I said as well, Sean, these devices, use them. Don't just use them to think I want to pick up on spirit energy. Look outside the box and use them devices to go around the room and find your electrical cables, another form of energy transmitting appliances in the home. So I did an experiment the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. It's simply a microwave in my living room. It's got a microwave in the kitchen, a microwave in my living room, guys. I simply turned the microwave on for a couple of moments, and my K2 was redlining all the way to my front door and even nearly outside of the home. Now, when you're in this house is it's about 60 years old. It's a really old house. It's built well. When some of the newer properties, you haven't got brick involved. You've sometimes got this the board that they put up as dividers. So even things like microwaves as such, they can affect and cause these false positives. Sorry, you've got me going now, mate.
No, that's all right. I mean, I've found as well through experimenting that the fish tanks give off immense EMF fields.
It's the pumps, and they're acting like an EMF pump of some form.
They are. Definitely, it'd be a good idea to tell, actually, on the investigation and use it as a pump.
Let's find out the effects of a fish tank on a REM pod.
But it's like, you do get these investigators go out there with the tech, the slightest hit, and they jump straight on the thing. That's a spirit. You've got to spend the time finding out what else there is that's giving off these readings.
Exactly. Now, I'm sorry, Sean, I'm talking over the top again. Just going back to that question which Kaz said then, about do people get lazy? Yeah. Well, I believe that some groups do get lazy into thinking that they don't need a medium.
Yeah.
They just don't need one, And like I explained before, with all these false positives that are going around, new masts that are being put up, new technologies, we do not know how these new technologies are going to affect these devices that we've been using for how long now? A good couple of years. Yeah. So as technology changes, we're going to see the new breed of device that gets released that's not immune to these things, but, it's been incorporated into the tolerances and they'll explain and things. Yeah, we need to progress with this thing. I'm really passionate about this progressing with the software and the hardware side of things within the paranormal world. But do not in any way, shape or form think that rules mediums out. It's just, you just can't go down that route. So yes, Kaz, technology is making some people lazy, and it's some groups that think they don't need the medium to be out with them. Now, this is just my opinion, by the way, guys. So, yeah.
It's all validation. Like Maxine mentioned, old school and new school can work together because they can validate each other.
Well, just look at me and John, for example. John's as old school and as physical as you'd ever believe, and I'm more techie. I'll take EM pumps me. I'll put them in a place where we're trying to get more activity there. I'll put a number of K2s around. I'll put the periscope up. I'll get the connect going. And then when John's mentioning to me, I'm drawn here, the energy's there. And I'm repeating myself now. If I can see that on my devices and I'm being told by a spiritual medium who can see and sense that, how can it be wrong?
Exactly. It all boils down to that same thing of validation. Do you think tech in any way is bad for the paranormal?
Yes, the way I've just explained about that some teams do not think about needing mediums anymore. And as what we've talked about as we've just talked about, that these devices sometimes... I hate to talk like this, Sean, but I'm going to do. There's a lot of new teams popping up left, right, centre. That all it is, oh, look, I've got this Connect evidence, I've got this K2 evidence, I've got this evidence. There's no showing of the debunking behind that, that it could be something else that's causing that. Yeah. Now, for the paranormal world, say tomorrow I decided, right, okay, I've not done this before, but I'm going to be an investigator. Oh, you've got you lovely dogs like I have. And then you go to a location, an outdoor location, for example. You go and you sit there, you get out of the car, and all of a sudden, your K2's redlining. Your mel meter's giving you 120 milligauges to 240 milligauges plus.
Yeah.
You're going to think to yourself, oh, hang on a minute, I've just hit a jackpot, like I have done, Sean, I'll be honest. I had to do work that I was doing. I was high up, and every 5 or 10 minutes, my K2 went off, and then my mel meter were giving me hundreds of milligauges. Now, I went over to this warden's house that takes care of the area. I was asking him if I could do some baseline tests around his home, and there was nothing in the home that would give me them readings. But they were still happening. And then then it was a couple of days later, sorry, mate, I sat back, I was watching my footage, and I went, hang on, there's a plane flying over. As the plane was flying over and there was talking, the guy in the cockpit and the person in Manchester Airport, the tower that we were talking to, my mel meter was picking up on it. Now, I was in a place which is a Roman burial ground with 20 Romans buried under the arch that I was working on. Now, there's reports of the sounds of the Romans marching. A lot of people have reported this, even the warden, who I went doing baseline checks around his house. It blew me away until I sat back and I realised, and I was watching, I'm going, it's the planes. And I will tell you now, Sean, planes was affecting my K2 and my mel meter. Now, if I didn't look up or I didn't look outside the box and I was just wanting to produce evidence for clickbait, I wouldn't, you wouldn't say a word and you wouldn't look and look at these things. Yeah. So people who are new to it, it can be overwhelming when all these gadgets and all these lights start flashing, and it looks like Blackpool Illuminations is going off, and oh great, we're at such and such a place. This is happening. It's got to be paranormal. So look outside the box. And in my instance, I'd even told people that I'd found one of the most active. It is an active area, Sean. This was the hard thing about it. I was having so many false positives off the planes that were going over, but the area was active. So I really had to, before I started putting my findings out there, I really, really had to look at what was going on. I really did. So, yes, I'll answer the question that sometimes this technology can be bad, but that's only if the people do not learn their technology, what it does and what the side effects of other things in the area can be, my mate.
Definitely. What's your thoughts on a Faraday cage?
Faraday cages. To be honest, working with a guy in London, he raves on about them. I'm one of these people, mate, who, if I haven't put my hands on with it, I don't like to comment. I've had a lot of people raving on about them, but I haven't physically put my hands on or worked with one. So I wouldn't really like to start answering that question, Sean.
Something for the future to experiment with.
I'll be honest, I'll write it down on my pad from here, and hopefully in the future, if we're on again, you can ask me this question, I can go, right, here we go, and but you'll find that with me, mate. If I don't know something about something, I'll just keep my gob shut. What's the point in talking about something? What?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Tech, talking apps that can ghost app and things where you can put ghosts in photos. Do you think that has harmed people putting evidence out there? Because it's so easy for somebody to fake something now.
Of course it is, mate. Right, okay, let's talk about a situation which I was involved with, which some people will know about this, actually. And I was embarrassed, Sean, about it. One of my friends in America, he's got another friend who's just got into the paranormal. Now, my friend who I was talking to, he doesn't do any paranormal research. He doesn't know about all these apps, all these fake, the ghost apps where you can put ghosts in the picture. And I got this email off him saying, flipping heck, Mike, I've just had these pictures sent off me mate. This is in his living room. Now, the pictures that I was looking at, it was like a distorted old woman's face. Now, his mate had told him a load of spiel. He'd walked the walk with him. He had come and relayed it to me, and it was one of the new American apps that he just used. So the pictures weren't available on the internet at the time. Like you'll see something and you'll say, right, let's do an image search on this. Yeah. Let's have a look if there's anything out in the public domain that it could possibly be. Now, it was that new the app that these pictures weren't available for you to find it. And silly Michael here went and posted them on my page because this was a mate of mine who someone had him over with this Spirit app photograph thing, these Spirit apps, posted them to him, and he posted it to me. And I did a little bit of research, posted it to my page, and some other people come on and went, "What are you doing? This is fake." And I'm like, well, listen, I in no way, shape or form are wanting to put anything fake out. I removed the pictures straight away. And I got straight onto my mate in America. I went, "Thanks a lot, mate." I said, "I've been working on this reputation for years, and I've just posted 2 pictures from you, which you assured me was legit. I did some quick research on them, but it slipped through. Like it's like when someone comes to you, Sean, who is a friend, you trust them, you do." And silly enough, I did do a little bit of research, but I trusted him and I posted it. And anyway, I was shot down for it, and I was thankful for it because this made me sit back and become more skeptical over things. If you understand that. So, Sean, I have been stung by them apps, mate. So I totally agree that they're great for kids, and if you want to have a spooky time and have a laugh. Yeah. But when you're putting these out into our fields, and we're like, "Oh, there's something new here," you do a bit of research, nothing pops up about it. You do think, "Oh, great, I found something." And because of my friendship with the person who'd sent me the pictures, the trust was there. Now, like I said, I am stressing, I'll keep saying it, I did do a bit of research, but this app was new. If one of those ghost apps come out tomorrow with a whole load of new pictures involved with them, it's going to take a week or 2, if not a month, before them pictures get out onto the internet so that you can do that research and find if these pictures have been popping up all over the show and what app they're tied back to.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. I mean, like I say, some of the older apps now, people know all the pictures that are on them. So when something pops up on the internet, straight away, then that's that ghost app.
Exactly. And I was the same, Sean. I did know a lot of these pictures, mate. Believe me. We're doing my photography. I can even see when these have been superimposed over. You can just clearly see it. But I didn't even find out the name of this app because me and my mate was at Logrex for a few weeks afterwards. But it was that new, mate. It's like someone releasing it tomorrow and then someone uses it, and the day after that, you receive the pictures. When they're that new, it's just so hard. It really is so hard. So, but yes, the can tar and ruin things. So again, I've been stung by it. I'm not ashamed to admit it because I'm honest, mate. Yeah. Do research, blah, blah, blah. And at the time when I was giving these pictures, I was even looking at them thinking, hang on a minute, flipping out, we've not even seen anything like this from Amityville. Or these, which people can say they were fake locations, but I know that I think a lot of us know different about these places. But these pictures, I was looking at them and something was telling me. So there's another thing. What Spirit telling me, gut instinct was telling me, trust your gut instinct, do the research and don't be too fast just to share for clickbait and for likes. Yeah. Because everyone else sees these.
So, I mean, it's like, example, Sony Vegas video editing. Oh, yeah. So easy these days for someone to sit there for a few hours, get the hang of how to edit a bit of video and put a fake video together.
Of course it is. Well, there's so many different suites. Don't mention your Final Cut Pro, which, it's an industry standard, which is on virtually if you can afford it, you can get it on every Apple machine. To do these things, it is so easy. And I've said to people a lot of times, listen, my show's boring because I don't fake things. And if something happens, it's real. I could have faked a lot of stuff over the years because I do photography, I make videos, I do so much. But as I've said before, Sean, we're only kidding ourselves, mate. We're kidding ourselves.
Exactly. It's worrying in a way, I suppose, that it's so easy for somebody out there I've got proof of a ghost and they've edited some video together and to debunk it and prove that they faked it.
Well, the only D used in that scenario really is distribution via Amazon. Yeah. If you get what I mean. If you look at Amazon Prime now, there's about 50 new shows, 50 new hunters who, they've done this, they've done that, and straight away it's been sold to Amazon Prime. It's a quick cash in. But for people like yourselves and me who are in it for the long term, and Kerry, as she said, it's the long term. It's mate, you got me passionate about this now.
That's got me to a bit of passion about it. Let's get my throat again. I agree. It's so easy these days, like I say, for somebody to do a few ghost hunts, jump onto Amazon Prime, and then they can edit what they like into their show, and there's people out there that believe it.
Exactly. That's what I mean, Sean. I hate to say this sometimes, like, right, these have been in the game, these have been in the game for a few years, or they've not been in the game for a few years, but they've got thousands of likes. It seems that people are all off how many likes someone's got, and if there's a lot of likes there, they'll then challenge anything.
That's easy, that you can buy likes these days on Facebook.
Wow, it's sponsored ads, bloody hell. So, I may go against. I'm a bit of a new breed myself. I'll go against that. I like to challenge everything, and I like hands on with it, as you know. And it's just how I am, mate. Just how I am.
We're the same. At the end of the day, whether you're using tech, old school, or anything, don't just accept what you get. Debunk what you get. Look into it. Try and find out if you can recreate it.
Now, that is true. Now, there's another reason as well why the software and the hardware side of the paranormal should be advanced, because this is helping with the mediums as well to show people what they're picking up on, as I've already stated. Yeah,
definitely. Anybody can take a run-of-the-mill medium. I don't want to start slagging mediums off, but they can take a medium. Medium can cut with anything. But if there's not the tech to back that up, how can they prove what they're coming out with?
Exactly. It's the same when you're helping people, sort of thing. I work with, when we do clearances and things like that. I know I'm not just behind the camera. The medium will go in, and then the medium will say, right, well, I don't even want to be there. Can you go in and try and get the hardware, the techie side of things? And then we'll go back in together and do the same again, so that the things are working in tandem with each other. And for us and the people I work with, it works really great. Everybody's different, and I'm not saying that this is how it should be done. I have not been in this field long enough to start laying down the law, Sean. But from what I've done, from my experience, which is quite a bloody lot, I'm out nearly every weekend, and I've been like that for the last 5 years. It's that's just what I have found works. So,
yeah, everybody works different in this field, and I think that's what makes it so intriguing and interesting.
Intriguing and amazing, and you're always learning.
Definitely.
You're always learning.
It's like John Blackburn, for example. I use John as it. When he does his mediumship, it's the physical medium. You see the reaction. There's something happens when he does what he does.
Yes,
and
very true.
It's incredible to watch. And having the tech to back that up just blows everything out of the water.
Exactly, Sean. Exactly. There's another team out there, East Anglian Paranormal Investigators.
Yeah.
Gary, he's a very big believer. He's a very big user of physical again, like John. And it's good to see these mediums doing that. It really, really is good. And to also, how can you put a twist on things?
Yeah.
We've seen some of the activities that John and what Gary and their team and other people have been doing. It makes it fun and shows people physical mediumship at the same time.
That's it. It's not just a medium saying, I'm picking up this. The physical medium's actually showing you what they're picking up by an action, something that's happening.
Yes. Or the people who are Sean, the people who are involved at that moment in time, they're actually affected.
Yeah.
We've worked where we've had circles going. We've been asking spirit to interact with us and slowly push people forwards, and they have done. Can you lift the hands up? They have done. Can you lift the rope up? They have done. I wasn't on this evening with John, but he's got a lot of witnesses about this, and somebody was actually dangling off his copper rope.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It really is amazing.
It's breaking new ground. I think the paranormal, a lot of people get stuck in a rut, so to speak. I think people need to break new ground all the time. There's so much out there for us to discover.
That's very true. That's very true. I'm going to throw a kettle in the. I'm going to throw something in here. It's like I believe in interdimensional, extraterrestrial, our spirit. I believe in different types of spirits. Now, what's to say that we can't get in contact with other form of spirit, i.e., extraterrestrial, interdimensional, which we do. People say they get in contact with interdimensional, and it's such a broad field, mate. Such a broad field. Might sound wacky saying that, but you can't close your mind to it. If we are being visited, there has been deaths, spirit attaches, reasons for these things, we just don't know. So
that's it. I think that's where breaking the new ground comes into, trying to find that link.
Yes.
There's definitely a link. I personally believe there's a link between, like, say, extraterrestrial, spiritual, demonic in there. They're all linked. There's all something that links them all. And I think breaking new ground and new investigation ways of looking at things and tech is going to help us find them answers.
It's true. I'm working on 2 shows at this moment in time, and they're pushing boundaries so much. You already know about one of the shows with John, Physical Earth. I mean, what he's going to try and achieve in Rendlesham Forest. He doesn't. He's already done it, Sean. I shouldn't let that cat out of the bag, but it's been done before with witnesses. So for us to go down there, yourself with your cam, me with my cams, it's going to be very, very hard to get this transfiguration on camera, and that's why we need so many witnesses as well with us. But I'm working on another show with someone from London who is ruffling so many people's feathers at this moment in time. But the way I see it is, listen, if this is 0.001% of activity that has got a different explanation to our human spirits, which takes it to another form of spirit, I like to keep an open mind and look into these things. Hence why I've gripped onto these 2 projects with both hands, because I'm going to learn other things and also debunk new things. So you're totally right. It does. We need to break these boundaries and keep pushing, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed on the head there. It's like, I'm looking forward to the Rendlesham Forest. It's learning new things. I think every time you go out, you've got to go out with that open mind. Whether you're using tech or old school or mediumship, you need that open mind if you're going to learn something new on this investigation.
Exactly. I mean, yourself, outdoor locations and indoor locations, the 2 totally separate beasts to investigate. As I explained before, like the orchard where I was doing the work up close to me, that's an outdoor location, which spells a load of different problems for devices and for debunking as to what indoor locations are. So for me, this Rendlesham Forest, I mean, it's going to be such a big learning curve. It's going to be amazing. It really will be.
Definitely.
That one's just the tip of the iceberg with it. So,
I mean, the tech side, it can only advance our learning.
Of course.
It's the debunking. Are these things really picking up on spirit?
Yep.
As they progress, is it going to become sort of impossible for that voice to be anything other than spirit?
Exactly. But what I've got to stress as well, again, with the K2s and even millimeters, anything that's and electromagnetic radiation meters, as our technology changes as a civilization, our technology has to change. Do you want to be using a K2 in another 15 years' time? I know I certainly don't. Because the things around us, it's probably never going to go off, mate. It's never going to go off. So technology has to change. It has to be advanced. And when people are trying to do that, don't kick at them unless there's I nearly swore then, unless there's a really good reason for it.
I saw your post. Your post was what gave me the idea for this show. But I agree. Why attack people that are trying to advance the paranormal, that are trying to bring new ways of contacting spirit? And why attack them? I don't understand it.
It's very, as you say, I'm from a dog showing world where everyone's stabbing each other in the back just to get to the top. And unfortunately, Para-Unity and the way I like to work and the people who I actually work with now, it's a lot of the new breeds that they're not about helping each other. I hate to say it, it's simply about, listen, I've got a great channel. I'm going to get so many thousands of likes. I'm going to get it sold. I'm going to become famous. And when they can break away from that, that's when things will get interesting for them.
Yeah.
It will.
Forget about the fame and just concentrate on proving the spirit world's there.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So,
I mean, it's like, as far as tech goes, for example, with EVP digital recorders, personally, I always use old ones, 15 quid off eBay. It's a bog standard digital voice recorder. I've tried the Tack-On 350 quid ones, and they just don't pick up the same stuff because they've got that many different noise gates and filters inside them.
Yeah.
So you get a crisp, clear sound that they're cutting out the white noise that you need.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your old Dolby systems and things like that. That's what they were designed for, to cut out dead air and dead carriers and things like that. So I've used I have a number of different devices. I use from computers down to your cheap £12 recorder, which I've had a hell of a lot of really, really good responses through. I've got Boss recorders here, which use all these special filters to give you crystal clear recordings. Now, sometimes, Sean, that can get us into bother that we insist on using the older devices due to them filters not being enabled, because people then turn around and say, oh, you're only using an old device because the recording quality is not very good. There's other sounds within that recording which you are then saying is an EVP. Do you get it?
I do, yeah.
Mate, you can't win. I've had it so many times where, because I'm from I do the sound recording side of things, people heard these EVP and they're going, well, I can hear wind behind you. That's not been cut. I can hear so many other things. Could it have been that you've just give yourself a scratch and that's not been cut out, or you've blown on the mic, But even when you use high quality equipment, if you do certain things like give yourself a scratch near it or blow on it, it still picks them up.
Yeah.
It picks them up. But people argue that because you're using one of these £12 recorders or even £25, whatever you want to spend on one, that because you're using that and it's not got all the tech filters and it wasn't 400 quid, that the things that you are finding on your recordings, they're not spirit and it's basically just bleed over or a bad quality recording. But I am with you on that. Because of these filters that are on the new technology, a lot of EVPs get filtered, they get missed, they just simply aren't picked up because of software within the recorders cancelling out them sound cancelling software.
Exactly. I mean, a few years ago, I caught an EVP, what I'd class as a Class A EVP. And I put it out on Facebook. One guy's like, can I have a play with it? I was like, yeah, of course you can. He came back a few days later and said, oh, it's just a zip. Somebody's doing the jacket up. Now, I knew when we caught this, it was the middle of summer, a red hot night. Nobody was even wearing a jacket. But he put it through that many sound suppressors and filters on something like Audacity that it completely changed from its original state to turn it into the sound of a zip.
It's going to do, mate. I've used Audacity, I've used Cubase, I've used Ableton, Sonar, so many different things. Now, them programs are designed to enhance quality. You can take the quality down on them, but as you do that, you're going to miss things. But as you're putting them through filters, suppressors, even phaser gates and echoes, that they do add things or take it away from the original recording. That one you're talking about there, is that the one you've recently posted? It starts out where you can see like an archway.
Oh, that was... funny story behind that one, actually. We'd gone out one night to investigate Annesley Hall. It's all locked off. You can't get anywhere near it. And we decided, in our wisdom, to climb over the fence. And was investigating in the courtyard. And next thing, this great big torch shining over. Like, oi! Like, oh. I made a swarm. So security got caught by security. Got chatted to him. He's like, what are you doing? Right, well, ghost hunting. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. He says, tell you what, he gave me his phone number. He says, next time you're up, he says, give me a ring half an hour before you get here. He says, and I'll meet you. So, all right, then. Rang him and let us in.
That's great when they're like that, isn't it?
Yeah. That EVP, that was not touched. There was nothing, no filters. That was as it was caught.
Well, I listened to that a few times the other night, and I've not even put it through any of my sound enhancing software or anything. And I don't know what you guys heard, but what I heard was pick it up. Yeah. That is what I heard.
I've heard some people said pick it up. There's Paul can't dance.
Right, okay.
A few other bits and bobs, but I mean, there's definitely something there. But I prefer EVP raw like that.
It's a whisper. It's the way the whisper comes, and there's all when EV. I'm not going to let too many things out the bag here because I know people are working on this at this moment in time. But when an EVP comes, there's something what comes just before and just after that EVP, mate, and it's consistent with that one what you've got.
Yeah.
Now, for me, like I say, I listened to it over me loudspeaker on the phone, but then I put it onto my, the earpiece, and myself, I could really hear pick it up clear as day, as day. Now, like I said, it is consistent with what people are researching on at this moment in time with the EVP scenario.
Yeah. Like I say, excuse me, if you can't hear something when you're playing your recordings back, why fiddle with them to try and find something? If it's not there, it's not there.
Now, thank you, Sean. That's just led me into the next thing. This is why sometimes tech is, how can you put it, overused and slated.
Yeah.
Because people want something to be there all the time.
Yeah. If
you can understand what I'm saying. So if a medium's saying, listen, I'm not picking up on any energy tonight, they're not out playing bingo. People rely on the devices, obviously, to then try and see if they get reactions with the devices and things like that. So it's man. Yeah, it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. So to rely on them then to physically get action. I hope you're understanding what you're saying, because I'm near finishing what I'm saying there. It can be used as a way, because they'll know there's a false positive that happens with this device especially on a public night as such, so that the customers are happy. And I'll end it there with what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
And I think a lot out there who are listening to this will know what I'm saying as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I've heard stories on events that people have deliberately got something in the pocket, a mobile phone switched on, and they're deliberately fiddling with it to set K2 meters off, just so the public go, "Ooh, wow, look, what's happening here?" Exactly.
The public events companies, mate, unfortunately, we've had a lot of them through the paranormal world, haven't we?
Yeah.
Who are simply out either for just oh, look at me, or to make a quick quid out of it, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
It's not mention any names of recent groups, you know, that have done this, that took people's monies. Then people haven't even had a night, and it's been other decent paranormal teams out there who've had to mop the mess up. Type of thing.
Exactly. I mean, paranormal event companies, personally, I think brilliant idea if it's done right.
Exactly. Yes.
When it's not a rip-off like a lot of things that have happened recently, people are in it for the right reason, to give the public an experience of a true paranormal investigation. Fantastic. Exactly. When it gets to what's happened recently, it's such a shame for the paranormal field.
It certainly is now. You know, there'll be other teams out there who we don't even know about, who we've not even heard of, that will be operating. And unfortunately, I think some of these tricks could be going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is where para-unity is a biggie, that people know who such and such a person is, and so on and so on and so on and so on. They know who they can trust. They know who's new, or who's doing this, doing that, doing the other. And because I work with so many different teams and so many people, I really get to know quite quickly about different people, you know, and
exactly.
Different. So
I've just got a couple of quick announcements before we finish off. Following this show, we've got Penny, who's joined by an amazing guy, Mr. Barry Fitzgerald, one of our two-time guest speakers for Paraforce UK. He'll be talking about the haunted castles in Ireland. So listening to that one. Whatever you do, don't miss that. If you just refresh the page when my show's finished, and you'll be able to hear Penny chatting with Barry. Fascinating guy, Barry is. We've also got a competition running on the Parasearch Radio Facebook group page for a tarot reading with our very own Kerry Greenway. So if you jump onto the Facebook page and have a look, all the details on there are how to enter. So, right, we've got 5 minutes left, Mike. So basically, I think what we're agreeing, tech is a good way forward for the paranormal, if used correctly.
Yes, in my opinion, and people will probably argue with that, and good on them, that's how you've got to be. But for me, and for other people I've worked with, yes, it is. It's a good way moving forwards.
So it can be abused. Got to make sure if people are using tech, they've got to do it in the right way.
Well, with what we covered and what we talked about tonight, I think a few people will be, how can you put this, they'll be enlightened, their eyes will be opened. And when they go out on these nights, they're going to start questioning things. You know, let's not talk about REM pods and walkie-talkies, especially on a public night.
Yeah.
You know, walkie-talkies are an essential when you've got, say, 15, 20 staff around there. But when you're radioing your staff, it's going to have an effect on the REM pod and the K meters. You know, so, I mean, some people aren't doing it on purpose. They're simply trying to find out where one team is at one time and another, and it can trigger the REM pods off. So long as it's not being abused and people aren't doing this on purpose just to cash in, you know, I believe that this is a way. It's an amazing path that we need to go down.
Definitely, I think even over the past year, tech has sort of progressed so much. So many people out there that are trying new things and coming up with new tech just by playing with old tech.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. I mean, I know. One team I know, Free Spirit Researchers. They build their own portable Xbox Kinect camera things, sell them for a fantastic, I think, 180 quid all in, built and everything. Yeah. And they're coming up with all sorts of new bits of tech that they're building themselves and selling on to the other teams at great prices.
Well, you know, it's Kinect systems. I like Kinect systems, but again, Sean, there is such a big window of false positives with Kinects. Chairs, doorways, anything that resembles a human will be mapped as a human. Now, a big thing to people out there using Kinect systems is they've got to be moving. They've got to move around. You know, if it pops up static and it's not moving, more than likely it's mapped onto something that's just in the room. But when you see something get up and walk away, or it turns around, it hugs someone, and it's acting like a human, and it's not just erratically freaking out, you know, to a certain place and then disappears. Well, just be aware, people, that can happen with them, you know. So,
I've heard that even a very shiny painted door frame can set it off.
Of course it can, mate. I use a dual Kinect system purposely for this. That's not just one Kinect head, it's two Kinect heads. It's the way that I do, because I do bits of coding as well. So I'll use a dual Kinect head. Now, when you're doing that, I'm getting twice the amount of data in while I'm using my Kinect system. So I'm learning twice the amount of false positives that you can get through them. And you're totally right. Shiny doorways, chairs, it can map to it, but you'll know when you're looking at it, it's down to the user again. If you're looking at something, it's stationary and you can see a square around it, like certain programs at this moment in time on the TV, you'll see the door frame and you'll see these Kinect figures mapping to the door frame itself. It's a door frame, people, you know. So
again, I think it's education to people learning what the false positives for each piece of new tech is.
Exactly, mate. And what you've got to do, people, is don't listen to us. Get your hands on them. Do the work yourself, and you'll see in time, after you've used these things, that what we're talking about, that is what's happening. You know, we're saying this out of experience, not out of being keyboard warriors and just watching someone's video on YouTube. We're actually using this technology. So get your hands on it and try it.
Exactly. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for coming on again, Mike. It's been a fantastic hour. Absolutely loved it.
Absolutely brilliant, Sean. Thank you. He's great. I love being on your show, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank everybody in the chat room and everybody that's listened. Thank you very much for listening in again. And hopefully you'll all be tuning in again next week. Next week's guest will be announced in the next few days. Again, absolutely brilliant. We're going to have to probably be part 3 at some point.
Not a problem at all, mate. And hopefully I can talk about them Faraday cages when we get to do that, because I do want to lock someone in one of them.
That's it. Yeah, we'll have to work on that one. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. And back over to Kerry.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.